let's say you see a woman speaking to another man and then that other man smiling and then laughing or whatnot in that moment of, I want that to be me, like it is in its time. It was 5 minutes ago. It will be in 5 minutes. Right now, this is a time she's having to just enjoy another person just being, and it doesn't detract or take away from me. Your light does not take away from my light.
So welcome everybody to Building Consciousness with Jaguar and Jay. My name is Jason. This is our first episode, our first podcast together. I got the chance to meet this brother, Jaguar. We both are a part of Sacred Sons, which I've been a part of for 3 or 4, no, since 2021. So going on 4 years, 4 years now. Jaguar, how long have you been a part of
I
Sacred
just
Sons?
joined Sacred Sons May of 2024, so only about like 6, 7 months. But I mean, I am all in. It's a fantastic community. To introduce myself, my name is Caleb Morton. I go by Jaguar, as Jason said. We met through a community called Light Being, created by Kevin Walton, and out of his practice of creatorhood, just this beautiful community of people coming together to build a more conscious self, to build a more conscious world. And so we took inspiration from everything that he's building there. And as we met and just vibed and talked with each other, we realized that, we had something that we could easily offer just by simply talking and riffing off each other.
Yeah, and I'll say this, I have a lot of great friendships within Sacred Sons, and one thing that I liked about Caleb or Jaguar is that he's one of the few guys outside of Kevin that I connect with, not just on the beauty behind building brotherhood, but also on angels, ascended masters, healing, ayahuasca, all the other things that are involved within the spiritual community. And I just felt this resonance and synergy. So we're going to see where this goes.
Beautiful. I appreciate it. And I am really glad to be here. I'm really excited for what we're building. Just to kind of give an idea of what we're looking at doing over these first few episodes, we're really going to be focusing on a topic that Jason channeled, all about humanity on its way to spiritual perfection and holding the image of spiritual self of the human collective, regardless of how humanity acts now, and really holding everything in the frequency of love as a pillar, and how attacks on you can't really hurt your true self, just that false self or the collective ego trying to remain separate from God. So that's really where we're going over the next few episodes. And we're going to be pulling some subtopics out from that come to us. And today's episode, we're really going to be focusing on jealousy and how that's shown up in our lives.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And I'm going to say that first part one more time. I just want to just explain. So thank you for that, Jaguar. That was perfect. So I think, we were trying to figure out, or we didn't have an idea what we were going to talk about. I was meditating a little bit before, not, specifically, for the podcast, and kind of, I was connecting with Archangel Gabriel, who is known as the God's messenger angel. So if you're religious or not religious, but in the Bible, right, he was the angel that brought the message to Mary and Joseph that Jesus was going to be born, etc. So when it comes to, anyways, so the message that came through specifically was humanity is on its way to spiritual perfection. Hold the image of the spiritual self of the human collective, regardless of how humanity acts now. Hold the frequency of love like a pillar. Any attacks on you can't hurt your true self, and it's just the false self or the collective ego trying to remain separate from God. And from that, as Jaguar was saying, we pulled the topic of jealousy because that is a key way that we can separate ourselves from, or seemingly separate ourselves from God or from each other, is through this illusion of jealousy, and how we work through jealousy, how we transmute jealousy. So today's episode is a great one, and I'm excited to dive in.
Let's get going.
Do it. And like that, just like, man, that resonated for my personal life. And then when I think about all the distractions, right, happening, I'm like, man, like, wow, like, what does it mean to like be in the world, but not be in the world, but not of the world? Like to see it, but not be attached to the narrative, to choose what reality we experience. That's kind of what came up, man. So like when you're dealing with, like, I don't know, all the stuff you dealt with, from the relationship stuff to the men's circles, the men's work, maybe a guy takes something personal and you don't even mean it that way. Like the guy we were talking about that kind of maybe felt a little threatened by your presence. Or how do you stay in the vibration of love? Like what's your, or groundedness or centeredness, whatever that is for you. Like, how do you stay you through all that stuff?
Compassion. Like recognizing that like people can only know you as deeply as they know themselves. So like if somebody isn't really understanding you, isn't really taking that time or, just like reacting, then like they're really just telling you where they're at. So like with the guy who's feeling threatened by my presence, like he didn't quite understand, I guess, that like I was truly just there to hold space for these walks and like help hold up that masculine pole and to be a mirror for him so that he can see where he is and isn't showing up in his fullness. Like I
Sure.
understand that like all those reactions are just coming from this unconscious space of where he hasn't dealt with these things in his life, because like I've dealt with those kind of like insecurities and feeling threatened
Sure.
plenty in my
Sure.
life. And like it still has moments of coming up, but I simply recognize it for what it is, like, but that isn't actually happening right now, So like compassion and staying present.
Well, that's beautiful, man. And if I may, because I also see some stuff that something that still comes up for me too. Like literally today, I had a moment of jealousy, but like it was play jealousy, but part of it was real. Like I was kidding, but it was part of me was like actually in a little bit of jealousy, and I had to like kind of catch what so basically the girl I'm dating works with my cousin, who's like not really blood related, but he's like kind of like he's like adopted into the family. Like and a good looking dude's like, yeah, I just passed your cousin today. And I was like, oh, that's dope. Like put me on FaceTime so I could say hi, right? And then then I think I said something like, what did I say? I said, by the way, like, don't get any ideas. Like, that's my cousin. And she's like, what do you mean? And I was like, I mean, like, I had to own it. Like, my cousin's a handsome guy. Don't get any ideas. And like, I was joking, but at the same time, I knew like there was a part that felt insecure. And so I guess like the question, I guess maybe that's insecure, Jason. But like for you, like when that comes up, like what is that that's coming up in those moments, and like what part of like of Jaguar is that coming up? Is it insecure Jaguar? Was it a different name? Like how would you describe that? Anything?
Yeah, the insecure Jaguar. Yeah, definitely. Because it's been a challenge for me to not feel jealous around dudes who are like physically bigger than me, like who have more
For
muscle
sure.
and stuff like
For
that. I grew
sure.
up this like super skinny guy
Yeah,
that
yeah,
like
yeah.
I've always been really charming, but like I've watched women just like drool over like these really big, like jacked men and
For
then
sure.
just
For
like
sure.
ignore everything about them. But they're like, oh, but it's fine, like I like his body, so therefore,
Yeah,
like I
yeah,
want
yeah,
it. And then I'm
yeah,
sitting
yeah,
there
yeah,
like feeling like, well, but I'm this amazing person. I just don't like have that, but like you should be with me. So living in this like bit of delusion about my own presence, how I'm standing there energetically and physically, and then just insecure about like what I wanted to be, but what I wasn't, wanting to be this thing physically that I'm not. And now I've put on 25 pounds of muscle in the last like
Wow.
2 years, and
Wow.
it's been a
Amazing.
slow build. So that way,
Yeah.
when I take time off from my workouts through December, I probably only worked out 6 times in December, but I didn't lose shit. Like I'm just as strong as I was when I got back on, like back regular, and I had my first full week last week. I didn't lose anything. I keep up with one of the strongest guys in the gym. He and I are usually working out together, and he does pass me eventually on the heaviest stuff, but like, I still keep up with him as best as possible because I'm just like, this is what's going to push me to keep getting stronger.
I love that, man. Like, I can relate so much to what you said and what it brought up for me too. The first time we talked, I felt a little bit intimidated by you because of how centered with yourself you are. I see the work, I see the charm, I see that. And it's almost when I see that in another man, even though I think that's a part of myself as well, it's intimidating because I'm used to being the only one. And there's another one now all of a sudden, there's like I have this like scarcity mentality around, oh, there can't be two of us in a room. And there was times when I was talking about dating and women, there were times where I did lose the girl to someone who was more charming or maybe more fit or more their
Yeah.
preference. And that's a big thing too, man. So on the jealousy topic, I'm not sure if you wanted to add more, but on the jealousy topic, just on some of the research that I've been doing around spiritual communities coming together. This has happened before. This isn't our first time having an awakening coming together. I believe we've done this many, many times, whether it's Egypt or Atlantis or Lemuria or even before that. We've done this many, 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 many times. And while I think we've reached even a higher heights where we're at now consciously, I believe that for some reason we still are where we're at today, which means we didn't make it all the way. We didn't stay there. We came back down. There's a reason for that. And I think one of the big reasons is because things just like jealousy, just like that, like maybe one person want to have more than the other, or maybe, somebody wants somebody else's girl, whatever it is. I feel like jealousy plays a big part into what it is that we're trying to do. I think we're trying to do, which is build a more conscious community, build more of a united community where we're able to share resources and live together in harmony and peace and joy and all those things. So to your point, I think jealousy is a huge thing, something that I know for myself I have to continue to work on to be able to stay in these spaces as consistent as I want to be there. I know. It's a big thing. So a great point, man. Great call out for sure. For sure.
Because I mean, like you're saying, jealousy goes into so many areas of life. Think about like ancient armies taking other spots because they want what they have, or even just to prove themselves. Commanders who want to be the best, or I want to just be dominant, feeling like they're entitled to all of this stuff. Therefore, they just dive in and take it.
And that's something that I felt right away. Like when we connect, one, we're part of Sacred Sons, but and I've said this to you before, but I've been at Sacred Sons for years, and you're outside of Kevin Walton. You're the first other guy that I talked to where, it's like ancient Egypt, it's like ascended masters, angels, ayahuasca, like all these things, shamans, and you're hitting on all those things. And I think in a lot of spaces, you're going even farther than I have, but I just haven't seen it a lot. So I think that's a really cool thing when it comes to sharpening each other. And I've already experienced that with you. So thank you for that, man. I think there's this book which I think helped lead me to the whole connection with Archangel Gabriel today, because part of the message from Archangel Gabriel is from some stuff I've been reading. So if you know who El Moria is, so basically King Arthur, we know him as King Arthur. So one of his lives was as King Arthur, also as potentially as Abraham from the Bible. So the higher consciousness of these people, right? And if you know about the sacred rays, so the rainbow, there's like 7 divine sacred rays. The first ray is the blue ray. So the blue ray is looked over by Ascended Master El Moria, as well as Archangel Michael, which, Archangel Michael's the main angel we call him for protection. So that ray is about divine will. It's about protection. It's about faith. It's about courage. It's about confidence. Really about divine will and willpower. Bro, this book right here, How to Do All Things, it's a gem, man. It's a channel book. When I tell you I feel like a different person in the best way possible, when I tell you I'm seeing more direction in my life, I'm seeing more assertiveness, more confidence, more literally confidence that I can do anything, utilizing the Holy Spirit, working with God, working through spirit, my connection to the Holy Spirit, to God, to just do all that is has gotten stronger just in reading it. So highly recommend that. One of the best, and there's other books too, but one of the best books I've ever read for sure. I would say up there with the Kabbalion. I think it plays off of it a little bit, but now it resonates with me. It's worth it. Because when it comes to being able to be in the world but not of the world, this book is helping me to be that, to stay in a place of love. It talks about being able to see the higher self or spiritual self of everyone, regardless of like how. Yes. That shit is amazing.
Jealousy so often pulls us out of the frequency of love.
Yeah.
And that jealousy is one of the main components that makes us feel separate from others, and therefore separate from God, and therefore like just sitting in that ego space rather than actually in unity consciousness.
I couldn't have put it better myself, man. I could not have put that better myself. I love it. So jealousy, what's the way that you transmute jealousy? How do you transmute the energy of jealousy? That's been a tough one for me. I've gotten better with it, but I'm really curious to how you transmute the energy of jealousy to get back into the heart space.
I just remember that everything that I am is enough, and that I am powerful in and of myself. I don't need to change who I am. I don't need to be somebody else to be valuable and to be worth it. And if someone else isn't going to see that, good. That tells me what I need to know about them. I can move along. But if someone sees it and values it, then they're not going to be doing the things that would make me jealous. When it comes to a relationship, we've had that conversation about, hey, these are the parameters of our container. Yeah, have friends, go out and do things with friends. I don't want you going over one-on-one with a guy friend at his home. I'd appreciate that kind of thing. Then you set that up. We can hang out. Let's go somewhere and hang out. But why don't you come back over to my place? No, that's not like in alignment with my relationship. So like, no, I'm not going to do that. So then that's just them showing respect for that relationship. Let's say you see a woman speaking to another man, and then that other man smiling and then laughing or whatnot, in that moment of, I want that to be me, like it is in its time. It was 5 minutes ago. It will be in 5 minutes. Right now, this is a time she's having to just enjoy another person just being, and it doesn't detract or take away from me. Your light does not take away from my light at all.
Love
Just like
that.
Kevin's light doesn't take away from our lights. But what does take away from our lights is going into that jealousy space and then going, I want to go fuck that person up, or like, I want her attention on me. I need her to come over, like, and be with me. That's like controlling aspect. That'll take away from your own light.
Or something else that came up for me today when I was channeling, right? When I was connecting with Archangel Gabriel. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. It was like me thinking of the things that make me feel jealous, me thinking of the things that I would like, judge and be like, oh, that's a despicable act, or make me want to say that's mine or be possessive. And it was like the what came to me is all the despicable things throughout humanity, or the things that would make you jealous, or the things that make me jealous in the past. What if I just responded to all of that with love? What if I just decided, regardless of what this person did, whether it's a dating situation, whatever it is, what if I just chose that regardless of anything, I am choosing now ahead of time, I'm going to respond with love. And when I started getting into that energy, it just, in a sense, made it at least more difficult, if not potentially impossible, for any potential situation to hurt me, because I'm already deciding, like, yo, I'm going to respond. I'm going to respond with love, and then realize
Let's get this going. Let's start recording. Yeah.
we've been recording. The last 51 minutes have been recorded. As soon as you jumped on, I started recording, bro. So I got
Nice. No, I'm in it. So keep tell me, keep talking about that. But like really focusing in on love in that situation. What does that look like to you, and how do you show up in that love?
okay. So I'm not gonna say names. I'm gonna give you a very specific situation. So this situation was a girl that I was in love with at the time, and she basically was saying, this person who was like more spiritually advanced to me, she's like, yeah, I'm gonna go reach out to this person. This person showed up in my dream, and I was insecure as fuck about it. I even talked to the other person about it. We kind of ironed it out. I was insecure as fuck. And whenever things would hit the fan, she would push that button of like, I'm gonna reach out to XYZ. And because that was my worst nightmare at the time, I'm like, fuck, I stayed in. I didn't know how to let that go because I was choosing to be in that, and I didn't know how to deal with that. So this has been one of the hardest things for me to like heal. Even if I'm being real, even with me moving on, this has still been a hard thing because it went that deep for me. And I think today was such a big day for me because it was like, man, me envisioning the worst case scenario with that, and even more than that. And it's like, what if like I just responded to that? What if I just sent that person, those people, let's say that the worst case scenario happened, and I'm going to send them love to this belief that we are all, our spiritual selves are already perfect. Like we're all going back to God anyways. We're all going back to the same place. So even if I didn't like that action, I know that we are all working on perfecting our spiritual selves anyways. So regardless, we're all going to become a better person anyway. So what is there really to be mad about? Because maybe that is good for them to become more, to feel closer to God. So why am I even mad anyways? And then me, that frees me up to go do what helps me feel closer to God anyways. So it was just this realization of feeling unlimited. So then I said to myself, I said, thank you. Like to that whole, like, thank you for that. And that was really big for me.
That part. Having the gratitude. Yeah. That part is huge whenever letting go of jealousies and just allowing love to flow through is like
Sure.
finding whatever lessons were there, finding whatever growth that you've gained from a situation, and then just saying thank you to like the people involved, to yourself. This is beautiful. So for me with my last breakup, it was really tough for me because I'm the one who initially messed things up and like hurt
That's
really
tough.
bad. So I was blaming myself for the longest time, and it took me a long time to recognize that there was something in me, some part of my higher self that was saying, this isn't the right person for you. But it was like my ego was going like, but there's all this and all this and all this, and ignoring all of the unhealthy aspects. I was just looking at the stuff I enjoyed and ignoring all the unhealthy. And like to the point that my higher self had to step in and push me towards a situation that while it hurt her and hurt me with the whole backlash of the whole thing, it still perpetuated me to much like better growth and like really like catalyze like exponential growth. And then letting go of the pain and the regret over the situation took weeks and months of every time it would come up to, like you're saying, just give love to the situation. And I would stop and I would pray specifically for my ex's success, for love to just flourish in her life, for everything that she touches and does to just expand. And then she got with somebody else, and that hurt me pretty badly to see that like she was with somebody else. And then I had to start adding him into that prayer, like just like, yep, just gonna do it. But it's something that I learned a long time before this when I was going through my divorce, because that one, the separation and then her being with somebody else was a lot shorter timeline. And as much as it like to experience and see that, it also helped get me out of it. But that's when I started that practice. I started praying for both of them to just succeed, to be the best of what they do, to be happy. And then as I started doing that, I started recognizing I'm actually doing really damn well in this area and that area. And I learned that because of this. And then I looked at things that the relationship brought me, like these understandings that it brought me, expanding my horizons. And I got gratitude for that. Combining that, just sending love and then having gratitude for what I walked away with was such a powerful practice that it only took me a few months to fully get over my ex wife and just be done and good. And it was the holding on to what I needed to let go of with my ex girlfriend that prolonged things. Yeah, because I was fighting even doing this practice that I knew worked, that I knew was a good idea, but I was fighting doing it because I knew how powerful it was. I knew that once I started doing it, I was going to actually let go. And I was sitting so heavily in this ego space that I don't want to do that.
Wow.
I want to keep holding on to this
Yup.
pain because this pain
Yup.
is comfortable and this pain is nice and it's what
Yup.
I think I
Yup.
want. But it wasn't until I finally started doing that practice with consistency and then really just giving myself the time and space that I needed that I fully became good again. And then, like a few months back, I got to this point of, all right, I'm good. I'm done. I'm ready to date. So I started like opening myself up, start going on dates. And the really cool thing about having been in these two big important relationships and being hurt and having to go through all this growth on the other side of it is that after these early dates, these next dates, I started recognizing so fast, that's not for me. You're not for me. You're not for me. With amazing women, beautiful women, funny women, people who are on the same path and stuff, just really incredible human beings. But something inside my spirit was like, no, 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 no. So now got done with that, got done over my grieving my ex-girlfriend and gave it that breathing space. So now I'm just like, well, yeah, my energy, I'm good. I know how to prioritize myself now. Well, prioritize God, then prioritize me. That spiritual practice that I have is so important to me. Like I even when I know that like all I have is 5 hours of sleep in a night, I don't sacrifice my meditation. I don't sacrifice my prayer. And like, it's only 10 minutes of meditation right before I go to bed, 10 minutes when I wake up. But I get up and I do it because I want to start my night and I want to start my day right, you know.
And that's another thing maybe we could drop into on, and really focus in on maybe a couple episodes too, just like the importance and power of prayer. That's
Yeah.
something I've been stepping more into myself. That the book, How to Do All Things, touches heavily on that as well in a certain way. And it's I've been studying prayer specifically for the last year. So I have a prayer for forgiveness. I have a prayer for literally transmuting darkness into light. I have a prayer for brotherhood. I have a prayer for what else? I have affirmations for brotherhood. I have affirmations for peace and just all these different things, man. And it really works, man. I have affirmations for connecting with different ascended masters, and it really works. And I'm at the point now where my prayers get more powerful once they're memorized and I can feel it and see the prayer. And it's stated in a certain way where you understand the connection between God, the Holy Spirit, yourself, and how you say it. It's to the point now where I'm starting to see my prayers get answered real time. So maybe not in that moment, but I'm starting to. I know I recognize when the prayer is being answered. Whereas before I would wonder, is my prayer being answered? Now I know my prayers are being answered. I know the momentum I have at work and in my personal life, everything is because of the prayer. It's directly correlated to the prayer. So I think, man, I can't overstate the power of prayer. And I don't know if we do a prayer together or we lead a prayer or we should whatever. That could be its own thing. I actually even
Yeah.
started channeling like some like my own prayers. And one last thought that I had that was on topic we were talking about with jealousy and like how we add into the prayer. When you added the other guy into the prayer, can you explain what that felt like when you added him into the prayer?
God, it was rough. It was rough. It felt like getting punched in the gut. Yeah, your ego and your natural way of being, you know,
Sure.
accepted human way of being,
Yeah.
wants to rail and scream and
Yep.
fight and all of this, you know. I'll say this because I'm pretty sure I've told I'm pretty sure I've told my ex-wife this bit of the story. The very first time I saw them out together, I was still, of course, hurting like crazy. But we went out to a club that my roommate was playing. He was a DJ. He is a DJ, and he was playing. And so I went there, and she came with him. And she came up to say hey to me, and was also like, I didn't know you were gonna be here. In the moment, I was like, yeah, whatever. But then as I was standing there on my own a little bit later, I was watching them next to each other, her laughing, and there was this moment of just pure anger and jealousy. And I had a beer in my hand, and I dropped it from holding onto the neck to holding it, like more like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
the thought went through my head to like I could beam him right in the head.
Yep.
Then the thought of how awful that was, how disrespectful to someone that I loved was, and the simple fact that he was surrounded by all of his friends and they all would
Yeah.
have destroyed me, that
Yeah.
all popped into my head. And so I chose not to do it. But that was at the strength of that ego response in the situation, you know? So when I finally added him into this prayer of just wanting nothing but the best for him and wanting what was good for him, that same feeling of like came back to me, and it was a struggle to say his name. It was a struggle to wish him well, to put love out there towards him, a struggle to pray for his success. And that lasted the first like 4 or 5 times that I did it. Every time it was hard. Well, it was really challenging. But as I continued doing it, it got easier and easier. It was small increments at the beginning, but then it just got easier and easier. And then I would do it any and every time these moments of jealousy or moments of anger around the situation would pop up. I would just stop what I was doing and I would do this little simple prayer, which was just simply me starting the prayer, calling on the divine and saying their names and then just saying, I pray for all of your success. I
Ooh.
pray for nothing but love for you. I pray that everything that you touch, like turns to success and what you need. I pray that everything in life is like comes to you easily and in flow, and just anything that I could think of in the moment to just send this positive vibration out to them. I would just go ahead and have that in that prayer right there, and then I would close it out. Because I just recently finished reading a book, The Seven Secrets to a Happy, Healthy Relationship. I believe that was it by Deepak Chopra. There were two books that I read very close in tandem on similar topics. So I apologize to anybody listening if I'm misquoting which one of the books this is from. But it was talking about how um it was talking about this prayer and using this kind of prayer and how challenging it can be, but when you do it, it allows a true release and a true forgiveness. And there's this response out of us that feels like if we forgive someone, then we're absolving them of how they've hurt
Yeah.
us,
Yep. 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 Yep.
but
Can
it's
relate.
not. you know Like, it feels that way sometimes, but like it's not. What you're doing is you're letting go of all of the poison that jealousy and that anger is within you. There's this other quote that's just absolutely beautiful, that like drinking anger or jealousy, you can switch them out really, holding on to that is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Prayer was my way of just getting that poison out of me. And now the two of them, they have a daughter, beautiful little girl, and we still have mutual friends. So I'll see them occasionally. And you know what? I get to play with the daughter and throw her up in the air. I get to hold her and just kind of love on her, say hey to the both
Beautiful,
of them
man.
and talk and hang out and chill. And there's not an ounce of jealousy or anger or regret left. It's just gone. There's nothing but love there because I just poured out love when my system was wanting to be angry. I chose something different.
What's this? What are we doing? Sex with it or something like that? Yes, man. Woo!
Depends
Yeah.
on which sacred son you're talking about.
Yeah, I love it, man. I think that's such a beautiful thing. I think we can stop there unless there's more that you want to touch on. I think we got a lot of good stuff. Thanks for tuning in to Building Consciousness with Jaguar and Jay, where we explore spiritual concepts and aim to break them down in a practical way for everyday use. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on future content. If you have thoughts or questions, drop a comment below or connect with us on Instagram, jdoss545 and build_with_Jaguar. We love to hear from you. Until next time, stay curious,
stay inspired, and remember, we are the authors of our own reality. This is Jaguar and Jay signing off.